Donald Trump was censored earlier today, and many people on the left said he wasn't actually censored. They said his tweet is still available, therefore it's not censored, but it was. So Trump had two tweets. One of those tweets said that he essentially said the military was standing by, and that when the looting starts, the shooting starts. There were two tweets. The second tweet was made unavailable by Twitter, meaning if you went to the first tweet, you could not see the second. It just said, this tweet is unavailable. That's censorship. Just because you can still find ways to figure out through it, that's just called navigating the censorship. So if you went to Trump's actual Twitter account, you'd see a box that said, this tweet has broken the rules for glorifying violence. Well, as it turns out, the White House has tweeted an email they received from Twitter saying, nope, you didn't break any rules. And I think I have it. I don't know exactly which tweet it is. So let me try and figure it out. So here we go, right here. Twitter, in an email to the White House moments ago, admitted that the very tweet they are censoring does not violate any Twitter rules. So why are they still censoring it? And we can show you both examples here. This is an email they're posting that mentions the email that was censored. These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen. Just spoke to Governor Tim Walz and told him that the military is with him all the way. Any difficulty, and we will assume control. But when the looting starts, the shooting starts, thank you. They said, we have investigated the reported content and could not identify any violations of the Twitter rules. Now look at this right here. This tweet violated the Twitter rules about glorifying violence. However, Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain accessible. So this is hidden. If I click it, you can see the original tweet. Huh. So yes, there are varying degrees of censorship. Mm-hmm. But as I mentioned, they made it unavailable. Mark Zuckerberg issued a statement, which is, wow. Now, he starts his statement with this, what looks like PR pandering, where he talks about, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. And I can respect it because I'm not happy those people lost their lives, for sure. But it's really much like, please don't get mad at me. I get it. We're dealing with tough times. He says, another conversation happening amongst our black friends, colleagues, and neighbors are incredibly painful. As Americans, this affects all of us, and we have an obligation to help address the inequality in how justice is served. This is becoming something I care deeply about. And that's where it gets interesting. He says, I've been struggling with how to respond to the president's tweets and posts all day. Personally, I have a visceral negative reaction to this kind of divisive and inflammatory rhetoric. This moment calls for unity and calmness, and we need empathy for the people and communities who are hurting. We need to come together as a country to pursue justice and break the cycle. But I'm responsible for reacting not just in my personal capacity, but as the leader of an institution committed to free expression. I know many people are upset that we've left the president's posts up, but our position is that we should enable as much expression as possible unless it will cause imminent risk of specific harms or dangers spelled out in clear policies. We looked very closely at the post that discussed the protests in Minnesota to evaluate whether it violated our policies. Although the post had a troubling historical reference, we decided to leave it up because the National Guard references meant we read it as a warning about state action, and we think people need to know if the government is planning to deploy force. Our policy around incitement of violence allows discussion around state use of force. Although I think today's situation raises important questions about what potential limits of that discussion should be, the president later posted again, saying the original post was warning about the possibility that looting could lead to violence. We decided that this post, which explicitly discouraged violence, also does not violate our policies and is important for people to see. Unlike Twitter, we do not have a policy of putting a warning in front of posts that may incite violence, because we believe that if a post incites violence, it should be removed regardless of whether it is newsworthy. Even if it comes from a politician, we have been in touch with the White House today to explain the policies as well. And then he closes out talking about heated debates. But man, will I tell you what.
Wow.
He is absolutely right on that issue. I'm impressed with Mark Zuckerberg, to say the least.
Surprised, I agree with him.
Agreed, yeah.
I want to go back real quick and just point out, some of the things he's saying, that he's basically calling out Twitter for saying they think the post is newsworthy. I think that's a sharp dig at Twitter. Twitter didn't say newsworthy, it said public interest.
Yeah.
But Mark Zuckerberg clearly thinks that they leave things up because of news potential. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But wow, is it amazing? Mark Zuckerberg is actually correct, okay?
Yeah.
Trump was warning about looting, and Trump tweeted this. Here's what he said. Looting leads to shooting. And that's why a man was shot and killed in Minneapolis on Wednesday night. Or look at what just happened in Louisville with 7 people shot. I don't want this to happen. And that's what the expression put out last night means. It was spoken as a fact, not as a statement. It's very simple. Nobody should have any problems with this other than the haters and those looking to cause trouble on social media. Honor the memory of George Floyd. And of course, you can always expect Jennifer Rubin to chime in with her stupid reply guy post. What a pathetic lie. I don't care. Please just stop.
He's explaining himself. How's that?
He is explaining himself. And
all these people out there are not honoring George
Absolutely
Floyd.
not. No.
I know.
He would not have
That
wanted
is huge right there. We need to honor him, and yes, he needs justice. Absolutely. And this guy, and he's getting it. Yeah, exactly. It's not about George Floyd anymore. It's not. It's a much bigger thing.
They're chanting in Houston what charges aren't enough. Is that what they're saying?
Something like that.
So what's enough?
Nothing.
Change the entire
enough.
societal
No, it'll
burn it down.
norm.
Wait. They're throwing bricks at CNN's windows.
Right.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with George Floyd?
Nothing.
What does rioting in Atlanta and burning, cars and stuff have to do with George Floyd in Minneapolis? Okay, I can entertain this and say it's the greater injustice of police brutality across the country,
Right.
and systemic violence and all that stuff. But wouldn't you then protest the police?
Exactly.
Why are you going to CNN?
Why are you going to Target?
Why didn't they go to Fox News?
Why are you going to AutoZone?
Why are you going to AutoZone?
Why are you burning down Wendy's?
Yeah.
Low income housing?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can certainly talk about that, but the censorship issue I think is really important right now, and we are in a really crazy time. So I mentioned this earlier. I periodically will DM with Jack, and we had a conversation. The gist of it is we need open source public access networks, and I'm kind of I like Jack Dorsey. The conversation I had with him, last year with Joe Rogan, off camera afterwards, I really do think he is a good person who wants to do right, who is incredibly, incredibly naive.
I mean, we spoke about this before, and you also alluded to the fact that he doesn't run Twitter anymore, right?
Well, that's my opinion.
Oh, okay.
My opinion is that he's more of a figurehead, and
right.
that Vijaya
That's what I was
runs
saying.
the show. That's why she showed up to Joe Rogan podcast, because the issue about Twitter was what boiled over, and he needed her to talk about it. When right now Ted Cruz wants a criminal investigation of Twitter for violating the Iranian sanctions. Twitter allows the Ayatollah and high-ranking officials at these countries, they allow them access to the platform, which provides a service for them, displaying their message to all of these people. And that, according to several Republicans, including Ted Cruz, is a violation of these of sanctions.
Yep.
Vijaya Gadde is the one who wrote the letter saying, "Too bad." Yeah, it was amazing. This was back in February. And she basically said, we provide a very important public service for people to connect with, world leaders and stuff like that. And my reaction is like, and?
So
I look at
it's
it this way.
directly against the law.
Right. What if you said, I understand you're upset about the sanctions on this country, but we provide a very important service in self-defense. That's why we're supplying weapons.
Right.
I understand it's not a one-for-one. Yeah, giving weapons to an enemy is different. But they're allowing them to propagandize in our country against us when their adversaries and their gunships are swarming ours, and people are they're shooting at each other like warning shots and stuff.
And at the same time censoring the president.
Yup.
Of our country.
Yeah.
That's part of what Trump's executive order was, that they allow Chinese disinformation on the platform, but censor the president. So then Twitter immediately reacts and puts a flag on the Chinese Communist Party's tweets, misinformation. And that's when I was like, oh, they're sweating bullets.
Yep.
Look, I have good things to say about Jack as a person. I say he's naive because I think he kind of understands network technology, but he has no understanding of contemporary politics at all.
Yeah.
And so this is the problem we're facing with these big tech companies. It's young people who have found this powerful technology that is damaging political discourse across this country, making things worse. They have no idea how politics works. They have no idea the intricacies of certain issues. They have no idea how the media lies and the problems of solving these issues. And then they drop nuclear bombs. So here's the craziest thing. I'm impressed, Mark Zuckerberg. I got to say it.
Too, yeah.
I've ragged on that guy a lot.
It's the first time I've ever heard that said
But that was
ever.
that was a great post.
Yep.
So Donald Trump tweeted about, if mail-in voting is allowed, there's no way there won't be widespread voter fraud. Twitter put a tag on this saying, get the full facts. When you click it, it brought you to the opinion columns of certain news organizations. And I was like, huh?
Yeah. Where are the facts?
You want to know I got really mad about this?
Why?
Because in Paterson, New Jersey right now, 3,000 ballots have been voided.
Yeah, right.
And the signatures don't match. An NAACP leader is calling for the election to be outright canceled, and everyone agrees.
This year's election, the presidential election.
No. This is a local election that was mail-in vote only. A local election, mail-in vote only, 3,000 bunk ballots.
Yeah.
Some people said my ballot was disqualified, but that was my ballot. Why was it disqualified? So it's a nightmare. Mm-hmm. They say there's no evidence of this, but the story is happening right now, and activists are like, we need to do something about this. And so I'm like, why, Jack, would you fact check an opinion? So he basically apologized for this, sort of. He sort of apologized, saying we shouldn't have done that or something, and we should, he put out a statement about how they're going to continue to fact check the president. But my response is, there's no circumstance where you can just determine who is correct. So this is why I think Jack is completely naive and so wrong about this. His assumption is CNN is news. They're right. Trump is the president, but he's not news, so he's wrong. So then when you get CNN saying there's no mail-in voter fraud, and I live in a state where we're watching it happen right now, that I find that offensive. Yeah. That these people, especially a marginalized group, that you don't care. That's why it's all the protest stuff is superficial. You don't actually care about this stuff. You read the news, you believe what they say, and it's wrong. There will likely be widespread voter fraud. The problem is calling it voter fraud. You should call it,
voter manipulation, maybe? Or?
No, like incompetence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Real Clear Politics did.
Oh, it's worse than that, though, because the signatures didn't match. So it's manipulation, though. So it's a little worse than incompetence. But that's like them losing the ballots instead of changing them.
But that's where
malicious.
I was going. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real Clear Politics said that in the past 4 elections, federally, 28 million ballots have gone missing.
That's insane. 28 million. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of votes.
Yep.
7 million votes per election, people.
That's crazy.
Whew.
Yep. And they want it. And then when Trump says it, an opinion, Twitter intervenes.
With more opinions.
Imagine it this way. Twitter is basically saying that they want their goal to be providing counterpoints or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know, climate change is disputed. Does that mean if Al Gore tweets climate change is bad, you're going to put a tag showing a bunch of people saying there's no such thing as climate change? Is that real? Does that mean when Greta Thunberg says, we've got 12 years to make changes, you'll put a tag and you'll link to a bunch of conservatives arguing? No, of course he's not going to do that. And therein lies the big problem.
Yep.
So what gets me mad is
biased.
We talked about this a year ago. Federated networks. Look, think of this way.
What is that?
So Jack did a big Twitter thread about this.
Okay.
And I want to see it happen in December. He tweeted about it in December. I want to see it happen. He said Twitter should basically be a protocol. What that means is, like HTTP, you type in a browser, a web address, you go there and get it.
Okay.
The way this would work is the reverse of email. So whereas email is, I put in your address and the message gets sent to you, Twitter should be that I subscribe to your address, and whenever you post, it goes to everyone subscribed to your address. So if Twitter opened up to the Fediverse, federated networking, like which includes Gab, for instance, Gab is alternative version of Twitter, sort of, then you could go on Twitter, and when Twitter bans, you, Adam Krigler, you set up your own server on your own website, and then I go on Twitter and search for adam@adamkrigler.com, and then I can click follow. And then on Twitter, I can still see your tweets.
Oh, okay.
Because you aren't on Twitter's network. I'm just receiving your feed. So Twitter's the biggest version of this, but they could all connect, and then no one could ban anyone. And then you know what I would do? I'd create my own. I'd create my own Timcast.com version of Twitter that only is for me. No one can ban me, and I can follow everybody, and everyone can follow me.
Sounds legit.
Yep.
It sounds very cool.
So think about it this way. Let's say you're on Twitter. And you follow, Tim at, timcastirl.com or something.
I do.
Well, it's not.
I know.
A form of that, yeah.
Let's say Twitter bans me, and they say we've disconnected IRL. Every other server I'm still connected to, so you still get my feed. And then you're on Twitter, and you're like, I can't get Tim anymore. I better open up a new account on a private server. So it would incentivize his companies not to do this. I don't know, man. It's been...
Well, it's kind of like what BitChute is, isn't it? You know, like people have told you all the time, oh, YouTube took this video away. And you're like, oh. And then they're like, don't worry, I'm watching it on BitChute.
Well, that's like a backup system, right?
Okay. It's similar, I guess.
The Fediverse would basically be like, you know, technically you can get your website banned. Mm-hmm. Like what happened with, I think was it the Daily Stormer? Is the name of the website?
That is the terrible website that we don't like.
The terrible website we don't like. Yeah, but
I don't like.
But they had a website, and Google seized their domain name or something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. That's
wow.
That's not right.
They like put a lock on it or something and shut them down. I get it, man. They post nasty stuff people don't like, but wow. So it can still happen. They can sever the chain at a bunch of different links.
Yeah.
But if you're on your own website, you can, and someone can follow based on your web address. Yeah, you can go to timcast.com. No one's going to ban timcast.com. It's like I own the domain and I pay for hosting. The host can ban my server time. I can set up my own server.
Yeah.
So you compared it to an RSS feed?
Well, no, I don't know. It's protocol. It's the easier way to explain it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that made sense to me.
Oh, well,
that's dope. Well, I want to see it. That sounds awesome.
Well,
so
here's
the
issue.
Soon or what?
No, I don't know. I don't believe it.
Oh, okay.
It's been over a year and like 3 months since I sat down with Jack and was like, when are you going to fix this?
Mm-hmm.
And where are we now?
Same place?
No, it's worse.
It's worse, yeah.
Yep.
It's worse than it's ever been.
They're more dug in.
And they're just making controversy after controversy. I heard their stock dropped because of this.
Really?
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I mean, think about what TikTok did, because you know they're owned by that Chinese company or whatever. When people started getting harassed by bullies, they banned the victims of the harassment.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to ban the one person than the 300 doing the harassment. You lose money if you give it to 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was actually the
Savage.
smarter thing to do, but totally savage.
Yeah.
Savagery.
Yeah. All right. Well,
It's true.
I don't know, man. Twitter is totally broken and biased, and it's like they're desperate to please everybody, and you can't do it.
Yeah.
No,
And
they're desperate to please a certain crowd, not everybody.
No, they do want to please everybody.
Okay.
But they're biased in what they read.
Sure. Okay. That
Otherwise,
makes
they
more
would just
sense.
ban Trump outright. They'd be like, "You got it, gone."
Yeah.
So here's my question: what makes these people at Twitter so arrogant they think they can change the direction of the wind? You can't do it. It's like watching someone stand in a river and try and push the river aside.
Or push the water back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like,
Go back up. Go back up.
or like they stop the water and they're like, we've done it, we've dealt with the problem, and meanwhile everything's flooding past them, and you're
Yeah.
like, you've done nothing to stop anything. Just stop getting in the way. You're making it worse. Let people fact check Trump. They do every day. They tweet at him. They say nonsense. There you go. Trump should turn off. Actually, I wonder if Trump can turn off replies now. This is. Think about this.
Oh, I bet he can.
A court ruling. Trump can't block people because when he tweets, he creates a public forum.
Right.
And he's a government actor. Twitter made a thing for verified users where you can stop it. So only people you mention.
Only the people you follow.
Or people you
think.
mention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you
or
can
mention?
choose.
Yep.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So Trump could turn off replies.
Only for blue checks, right?
Oh, wow. Trump should do this. So many careers would be gone.
If
There
The
are
Trump
people,
reply guys?
yes, who build a following and then do a shout out like, donate to my PayPal.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Trump could get rid of all of them right now, because when he tweets, he can just say, only if I mention you can you respond, and then no one can. No
But he
one will
hasn't
respond.
blocked anyone.
What do you mean?
He hasn't blocked anyone.
He did. He was forced to unblock them.
In the instance where he says you can't respond unless I have you
Oh,
listed,
right.
he's not
yes.
blocking anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not a violation of whatever ruling or whatever. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.